things like that. I don't know if anybody's really dug into it beyond that or not.
I didn't really see anything that was a heartburn issue there.
I'll just go ahead and start in here with the different things that she had in here. So let me get my glasses. This copy is awful small. I can't see it very well. So change to the readers. So the first one that she had is she recommended a 3-year term. I believe that's what we had in the past. We tended to roll it based on evaluations and things like that. So I think that's good. I don't know if anybody wants to make that a negotiation point or what we might be looking at there. Any feedback on the length of the term?
I think that's a good link.
No, I do not have any feedback on that as well, but I kind of wonder with that in mind, Nancy talked about in the email, I'm having a hard time finding it on my iPad though, her comments about the different kind of termination clause. We have a 3-year deal, and so it's sort of an open, whatever her words were. I can't find her because I can't find her part of the email.
At will
Thing is basically, yeah. And here we go. Dismissal without clause. I kind of wonder about having something like that in there. We don't seem to have currently. If we're going to offer something that's a 3-year deal, in case after year 1 it's just a total failure for whatever reasons, and or whatever, you just can't seem to agree on anything all the time, or whatever the reasons might be, that having a 3-year contract. But I think something that we still have a clause like that now, might be nice to start adding one or try to get one put in there.
We had an at-will clause in all our administrative at the city.
Hey, we can.
Does at will mean that they can,
No,
that either side can terminate the contract? No?
no, you at will is on your side. If you put in that they can terminate with X amount of months or time, you can do that.
Well, he can already, like right now, they can already leave with 60 days notice. Basically, they
Yeah,
already
exactly.
they already have their at will option with the 60 days.
That's already in there as a time frame for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tom exercised it.
Well, this is probably something
Yes,
that we
he
can
did.
have Nancy write up for us and include it. I was looking for that email there, Mike. Wasn't able to find it.
I found it. She used the word, dismissal without cause, 1-year deal, kind of pay him off for the 1 year or whatever, the rest of the year, or the 1 year, whatever the right terminology there would be. I think I'd like to keep that added.
Hopefully save us from a situation where maybe you're buying out a contract at 2 years of a contract, that type of thing.
Right.
Okay. Yep, I think that makes sense. We can talk to Nancy and get that written out there so that we can have it in the proposed contract. The next one she talks about is under compensation, including a provision prorating the first 12 months. Since we are almost 2 months into, we're a month in right now to the fiscal year, and the contract would typically run July 1st through June 30th. So including a provision in there just to say, whatever the annual salary is going to be paid out over 10 months or whatever the time is, we're going to prorate that first year.
That makes sense.
I again think that makes a lot of sense there. So
Would it depend upon if they started in the middle of the month?
that would probably be something we'd have to look
Yeah.
at there with Nancy and kind of figure out.
I think you
Yes.
said prorated, it would, at a prorated rate.
Yeah, she says include a provision for prorating a 12-month amount over the actual days worked or on
Yes.
paid vacation days.
Yes.
So, yep. I think that makes sense too. Next one she has in there is sick leave. How much do you carry forward? Current contract is superintendent's entitled to 12 days sick leave annually with unlimited accumulation. And then all days of sick leave accumulated by the superintendent during his employment with his most recent employing Oregon school district is transferred in. So she suggested that Oregon law requires a transfer of up to 75 days. That would limit some liability there for the district if you had somebody that was, 20 years in a district and had 20 years worth of sick leave, that could be a fairly large cost if they took it all. So she recommended limiting that to the 75 days that follows Oregon law.
So do you know, question for Steve, do you know how common that is, that the districts restrict that to the 75 days? And the ones you've done?
Unfortunately, I do not know. I don't get involved with the contract negotiations as per our organization rules. I help you with the process, but I don't get involved with the details of the actual contracts. So I don't know how common it is to limit it. I certainly understand Nancy's reasoning, but I don't know how common it is.
Yeah, since we've not done this in the past, Jason, I'm kind of wondering about whether we not quite be that restrictive, maybe up that number if we want to do some kind of restriction, 100 hours or something. And because I understand if someone's coming from someplace where, like the two Lebanon guys, for instance, they've been there a long time, so they have a lot of years probably accumulated, a lot of days accumulated, and I don't know. It's a tough one. That could be a selling point for us to not restrict that.
And again, sorry to interrupt, Mike, but just remember we're in a public session, so you don't want to refer to your candidate.
Right, I understand. Sorry.
No worries. No.
And yeah, so wherever they're from. So it does, yeah.
And also, Mike, just I think to your point, I think what you're trying to say is this is a negotiation, right?
Sure.
And so what you're trying to do is establish some parameters because you may want to give in one place so you can get in another place.
Right.
So keep that in mind. And that's what I hear you saying is perhaps to get something else, maybe more important, we might give on this issue to get something over here. So I think that's what you're saying, and keep that in mind.
So I think we have to keep in mind what the other administrators have in the school district also, and how much we have on their contracts. Because if we start making, well, I think we have to be careful.
I think it's something that we keep in mind. I don't necessarily think that we need to build the superintendent's contract around the administrator's contract. I
Not
think
saying
there are some definite differences in the job expectations of the two. And so, in more than just days worked, a superintendent doesn't have necessarily the time off that even some of the principals will have. There's requirements above and beyond the regular work day, I think, of a superintendent. And so, that needs to be at least a consideration in this. But my thoughts on this are maybe we start with the Oregon law and see where it goes. It may not be an issue at all,
Sure.
depending on who we end up hiring in the end, it may be a non-issue. But I think it makes sense from where Nancy's coming from to have it mirror the law and then be able to flex off of there if we need to.
I think that's a really good starting point. I think that we really need to go with what the law says.
Okay, I won't argue that.
I think more than anything, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yep.
Is not making it way out.
Right.
All right, and then a couple of things that that I know we dealt with a little bit in the past superintendent contracts. And Mike, you might be able to help me a little bit with this. There was something that we changed in the vacation time to try to incentivize the time off. That goes back a ways, but I can't remember exactly what that was, but I think it's worth at least looking at.
Are you talking a use it or lose it?
Well, I think that it's important in these type of jobs that time off is taken. Time away from the job is necessary to de-stress, to relax, and I think there's a lot of temptation when the job starts to get heavy to just push yourself aside and say, you know, I can't do that. But I don't want to have it so strict that, you know, it's necessarily a use it or lose it type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it looks like it's currently set up as a use it or lose it right now. But I don't remember if that's what I don't know if we were more rollover type before. We changed it to a use it or lose it because we wanted them to kind of encourage them to use it.
I think that's where we were at.
Yeah. So I think we kind of transitioned into what we have now, which was the use it or lose it from what we used to have. I think was allowing some carryover, because I think we were finding that they were not using it as much as they probably should have, and for that refreshing time and recharging time. So, which right now looks like the contract that we're holding here, it does have it shall be forfeited if it's not used. So, but not to say that it couldn't be negotiated for some rollover if there's a small portion of it or whatever. But,
well, yeah, if somebody wants to, you know, take a month-long trip to Europe and they only have so much time per year, you know what I mean? I don't think that's really a fair situation to put somebody into.
no.
But
So
at the same time, you know, it's important, I think, to utilize the time to walk away from the job a little bit, especially in a job where this much responsibility is involved.
So
Go ahead,
I've negotiated vacation before where you've been able to roll one over with a maximum of 3. And then if it's not used within 5 years, then it's no longer there.
Need to keep
And
it.
You
Keep
still
in
have
mind
the
the term of the
incentive.
contract as well, too.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you know, you're talking about a 3-year contract. If we've got a 5-year clause in there,
Well,
don't know what that makes.
no, I'm just saying I've done that before in the
Okay.
in a negotiation with that type of thing. You can do a one week carryover, and for 2 years or 3 years, whatever you want to do. But at the end of the 3rd year, that needs to be used.
Like where I'm at, it's like we carry some over, but we have to use it that next year. It's gone.
Mm-hmm. And that
See,
would be
maybe something
okay
like that
too
makes sense.
if you were carrying 2 weeks over for 1 year and using it, because if you're talking about trying to go somewhere with extra vacation, sometimes a week may not be enough. But anyway.
So do we want to start where we're at, or does it make any sense to change where we're at a little bit, or what are we thinking there?
I think I'm okay where it's at right now.
I think it's it's important that that this person takes some time off every year, and we're allowing what your 12, let's see. How many days do they even get? Does it say in here? Oh, 20 days. Yeah. So, I don't know when they do it all, but 'cause I know they're pretty busy. But it's important they do take some time off, and I agree with Jim. I think it's a place to start where we have it. It's certainly something we can entertain, talk about if they're very passionate about it.
It'll at least give us the opportunity to have a conversation around
Right.
it too, which might just help us to reinforce the stated need of time off.
Right.
You know. So,
Well, I've even had ones negotiate where you can't take more than 1 week of day at a time vacation. You have to take it in full week blocks because of people not taking enough time off. So
Right.
there's a lot of different ways to.
and I think it's a good conversation to have with whoever the new superintendent is, no matter what. So, another point that we have had some change in the past was the evaluation. We're at a not later than January 30th. I think this is something that we recently changed.
Right.
We upped that date a little bit just to give a better time frame if there was going to be a change made or direction coming out of an evaluation. So, is that something people are comfortable with still?
Yeah, because they were last superintendent or two were kind of like the idea if things were looking kind of poor, they wanted like the Christmas break to kind of get their search feelers out there and so on. So it seems fair to them. And I suppose it's kind of hard to do too much of an evaluation for the current year by that point in time, but I guess you're kind of maybe working off mostly the previous year and you have, I guess we have state testing data in by then usually, we would, if we did it by in November or something like that.
Now, are you going to want to tie cost of living to positive evaluation?
I don't know that do we want something like that in the contract?
I've seen it before.
Well, I don't think we should bring it up unless they do. We talk about it, I guess. So, we've not had that before.
Well, do you understand what I'm saying? Is that if they don't get a positive evaluation, then they wouldn't get the cost of living for that year. But the problem with that is if you're on who's doing the evaluations. So that's a tough thing.
Yeah, I'm fine with the way it is right now, and other than maybe up in the date, like I think we did with Tom, so which must be some addendum thing. I thought she was going to send us all the addendums, but I don't think they're all on here.
I was thinking it was by November
All right.
30th that we'd done with Tom.
I did add all of the addendums to this contract that we've done in the last 3 years.
Okay.
So there's nothing in writing about that November 30 or whatever, Julie.
What was that?
So there's nothing in writing about an earlier evaluation right now.
We changed it. We changed it to January 30th.
Oh. Huh, all right. I thought it was earlier than that.
That was one of our addendums, was to change it to January 30th.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough. It's fine where it's at then. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else in there? Anybody wants to talk about?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Run back through my checklist here.
And Jason, while you're looking at your checklist, let me just, I sent you the draft of the finalist forum via email. If sometime tomorrow, just take a peek at that and we'll continue to, modify it, tweak it. Julie, it'd be helpful if you could look at the date and the availability of the facility to see if that's available, and just anyway, give that a peek and we can finish up talking about it tomorrow night.
Hey, so we've got some contract parameters here to discuss as well. So some of them we've already kind of discussed that are listed here. Length of contract, I think we're pretty solid where we want to be on that. Benefits, I don't know that there needs to be any change from what that contract was. We are picking up the PERS on this contract as well, so that everybody's aware of that. That's a 6% PERS pickup. But that models everything else in the district as well. So vacation days, again, had some conversation around that. Relocation expenses. It's another one that we probably want to chat about a little bit. Anybody have any thoughts? There may not be a need for this as well, but we probably ought to at least have an idea going in.
What's happened in the past?
I think we've done some. It seems like reimbursed for some travel expenses. I don't remember if we had a cap or whatever.
We ended up putting a cap on ours at one point because it was taken advantage of, but whenever we just set expenses for, the expenses got out of control. So we put a cap on it.
Well, and I know relocation right now is outrageous. My brother-in-law just rented a truck to go to Missouri one way, and it was after he negotiated them down, it was $10,500 plus mileage. So that was just the use of the truck. So it's just like everything else tied to COVID and all this stuff. Those prices just keep going up. So it might be worthwhile to do something here.
I think the last one we did was capped at 15,000, but you can hit that real fast.
Yeah, real fast.
Well, I'm certainly open to it. I'm pretty sure we did something in the past. I just don't know, but times have changed even in the last 5 years, and things got a lot more expensive. So I just don't recall what we've done in the past and what that limit should be. Maybe that's irrelevant what we've done in the past. I don't know. It's different times. So
maybe Julie doesn't have to worry about it tonight, but maybe we can just kind of do some search into that and see if we can find some kind of idea of what we did in the past.
I know that we did do something for Tom. I remember doing that. I've got his file and I'm kind of going through here just to find it. Kevin, I think is still on there, but I remember we did do something. So maybe I'll have to look back through that stuff, but I don't see anything in here. Kevin, do you remember that?
He's probably off looking it up.
Yes.
I'm home.
I'll look into that.
Well, and this may be something that we just go into with the idea of we'll negotiate it and, try to keep it as reasonable as we can for the district and kind of get a baseline based off of where we were at with Tom when he moved here, but take into consideration some changes as well. So, travel stipend reimbursement, I know that's in there as a part of the contract already. And then cell phone stipend. Have we done that in the past? We have not.
Not since Tom definitely didn't have it and neither did Keith. I don't know if Don did.
I don't remember anything about that. So,
But I know Tom doesn't.
okay. If they ask, maybe.
Right, right.
Okay. Anything else we can think of that we may want to talk about here? Okay, hearing none. I might maybe swing in tomorrow morning, Julie, and just kind of have a chat with you and kind of put this stuff together so that we can get it to Nancy and get some stuff put together from her so that because she's going to have to review it in the end anyway before we go that direction. So might make sense to get her involved in the process of adding and stuff there too. So,
Sounds good.
all right.
And Jason, before you dismiss everybody, I have one question for the group that doesn't need to be answered tonight, but we'll talk about tomorrow. So if I could, let me plant the seed.
Sure.
Once we identify finalists, it's not uncommon, although it's not universal, that the board may pick up some travel expenses for the finalist to come to the district to do the meet and greet. So just think about that. If you would like to do that, again, you're under no obligation, obviously. But if you are, what would the parameters be? And again, that'll be tomorrow night's conversation because I'll be asked, I usually am when I talk to finalists, is the district picking up any of the travel costs? And it's pretty rare that all travel costs are picked up, but sometimes there's some help for the candidates. And so just think about that. We'll talk more about it tomorrow night.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep. Thank you. Anything else we need to discuss on this? Is everybody comfortable with the direction so far on the contract?
Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I'll get together with Julie. We can get Nancy kind of putting it together where it's all looked at and legal like. So, all right. If we don't have anything else, then I guess we can adjourn our evening.